it play and call it work.
Welcome, Wargamers. Josh here to bring this week's Sit and Talk, the show where you guys ask all the hard-hitting questions, and I do my best to answer them. Next week, we're going to have Quirk answering questions, so if you have anything for him, leave it in the comment section for this video, and make sure you put Quirk or address it to him in some way so he knows that you want him to answer your question. Let's jump right into it, see what kind of questions I got this week. We've got Toby P. Josh, let's see how many paintbrushes you can hold in your beard. I changed it. So now it's, instead of just being one big bushy beard, it's kind of really a giant goatee. Not really great for holding stuff in. Not the way the beard was anyways. It's not nearly as kind of condensed thick, so I'm guessing that by the time I go to film the vault component of this is when I'm going to see how many paintbrushes I can stick in it, so jump over to the next video if you want to see right away how many paintbrushes I can hold in my beard. Next question we have Relgar Wiz. Josh, now that GW is releasing new rules for Kill Team, the game, not the Death Watch units, the opportunity is ripe to build a small force made up of models you've wanted to play but didn't like the army in general. Yeah, I haven't really gotten too in-depth looking at it, but from the little bit I've seen, it looks like they're almost going with the, what did they used to call it back in the day? The 40K in 40 minutes combat patrol kind of setup, which is how I got into the game. So I'm super excited if that's what they're going ahead and doing. It's fun to have some little armies, you know, because it can be a big commitment to buy one big army and expand it out and be able to play, you know, 2,000 plus point games, but having a couple hundred points of some little army that you can play a quick pickup game with is pretty cool. So I'm excited for that. So here's my question. Which army has units that you would love to paint but don't enjoy the play style of the army in general? I don't know. To be perfectly honest, I'm more of a collector than I am a painter. I don't think it's any big secret that out of all the guys here, I probably enjoy painting the least out of the bunch of them. But I like doing conversion stuff, mucking around and coming up with some interesting conversions. I'd say like a Astra Militarum, something like that. I wouldn't mind doing something inquisitorial kind of based, doing a strike force kind of based on that, but using the Astra Militarum rules. Or the other one was, I gotta remember what they're called. The Adeptus Arbites, basically the Judge Dredd looking police guys. I'd love to do a little force of them. So that would probably be what my go-to would be, because you can get some old school Arbites models from Games Workshop still, and then there's some conversion opportunity there. So that'd probably be my pick. I'd want to go with something fun and different like that, but something Astra Militarum based. Or actually Praetorians. If you guys don't remember the Praetorian Imperial Guard models, go ahead and Google them, check them out. They were some really cool models back in the day. They were based off of the British Army soldiers right around the time of the Zulu War. So they were a pretty cool looking army. Next up, we have Jedi 22. Josh, how's Age of Sigmar going after the General's Handbook came out? It's going great. They've basically tightened up all the things they should have. I don't think there's any major glaring issues with match play now that the General's Handbook is out. I'm having a lot of fun. The different scenarios, we're still trying to find the sweet spot of how many points we're going to play at and be able to get 2 games done in a day. Going through, because each individual unit has all the special rules, so you're having to look up for each individual unit. I'm still having a tough time remembering, you know, in certain armies, what does the musician do in this unit compared to the musician in that unit, and banners, that sort of thing. So it's going well. We got to find that sweet spot and kind of get used to the armies a little bit more, because we've been playing a bunch of 1,000-point games, and that seems what we're able to get 2 of done in a day, having me playing against either another staff member or a guest or something like that. Pardon me on that. My mouth is super dry. Triumph and Treachery coming out soon. We tried the one Triumph and Treachery game. It's tough to get that many people kind of organized. Right now we're crazy busy filming all the different games because Dave is working on his movie, so that does keep a lot of us really busy. So haven't had the chance to get multiple people in a room to play a multiplayer game. Hopefully coming out soon. I can't say exactly when. There's no set plans. It's kind of a little bit more spontaneous when we have the chance to do it. Keep up the great content, and if Steve is there, say happy birthday from us viewers. I wish him a happy birthday on a daily basis, guys. Don't you worry. Angelus619, Josh, 2 questions. What is your favorite Space Marine army and why? That's tough. There's a lot of really cool ones out there. I'm going to go with like my favorite chapter because I could talk about all the different armies, the rules form and all that, but I don't know, they're similar enough. Probably my favorite chapter or legion, if we're talking 30k, would be Imperial Fists. Something about just the angry Yellow Marines, just being kind of just the stubborn defenders. It's always been an interesting army for me. So I'd say Imperial Fists are my favorite. I've dabbled into having an Imperial Fist army over the years. I never actually got it finished up, but now good doing for 30k. I've got some Imperial Fists that I'm working away on. Mostly just still in the assembly phase, so haven't got any paint on anything yet, but getting pretty excited for them because they seem like a cool army. Just a lot of foot slogging guys with bolters being stubborn, so the playstyle appeals to me. So yeah, my favorite Space Marine army would probably be Imperial Fists. There's a couple other cool ones though. I mean, like Space Wolves has always been a cool chapter. Black Templars being a successor of the Imperial Fists and kind of more aggressive version of the Fists has always been appealing to me. And then there's a bunch of other ones like Ultramarines I've always found super boring, and some of the other big regular chapters. I wouldn't mind doing White Scars, but Pikes are expensive. So I've never gotten into a White Scars army, but I'd play White Scars too. Does your beard offer a cover save? Does it have Feel No Pain? I'd say cover save. Definitely a cover save. Not Feel No Pain. I've said this a couple times before. The first time you ever, you're asleep in the middle of the night and you roll over onto your beard and wake yourself up because it feels like somebody's pulling on your face. Yeah, definitely not Feel No Pain. All right, jumping into the next question. We have Sin Cities Only. Dear Josh, you must start a brand new army. Like you're commanding me to. With the only limit being it cannot be one of the armies that is mained by one of the other content producers. So like Tyranids for Matthew, Chaos for Dave. What army do you make and what do you focus on in that army? I wouldn't mind, like I said, doing some sort of Imperial Guard kind of Astra Militarum army. But I find the Cadian models to be super boring. So if I could just sit here and go, snap my fingers and have some kind of army appear in front of me and that's what I'm going to play, I'd say if I could get my hands on some of the cooler old Imperial Guard models, Deathcore Krieg, super, super cool army. The Mordian Iron Guard, I would definitely play, those would probably be my 2 top choices. But then there's a couple other different cool ones. But those are the 2 big Astra Militarum Imperial Guard armies from back when I was playing that I really wanted. I mentioned earlier Praetorians. Praetorians would be a really cool army to do. So something Imperial Guard based. For me, the big holdup is that like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of painting. And painting that many guys on foot with their complex little uniforms, I think I'll go nuts. And every time, a squad gets shot off the board, I probably get upset. It's a lot of man hours put into that stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't mind playing just the, poor bloody infantrymen. So that would be my pick. Something for that. As far as other ones, I'm trying to think of some other popular ones. I would love to do Chaos. I played a lot in 3rd edition, and I remember the 3.5 edition codex when the book was focused mostly on rules for the different legions in the 40k setting. So, you had the Death Guard, and the Death Guard had their own armory section, and it was a really cool setup. So you could make a whole Death Guard army and have it be pretty effective. I wouldn't mind doing one of those armies if they redid the book in that way. I'd like to see the Night Lords, get some love, because I've played it a couple different times. It's Chaos Marines are already not a competitive list as is with their current book. But when I play like my Night Lords, I'd like to play with no marks of chaos, no demons, nothing like that. Try to play as pure Night Lords in the way that I like to view the Night Lords, not wanting to be slaves to chaos. They're not a competitive army though, so I'd love to see some sort of rules that make sense for them and make them a little bit more playable. So yeah, that would be the armies that I'd pick and kind of the focus on. I wouldn't mind doing a guard army. Getting a hold of some of those old models would be tough though. Okay, next question here. We have M. Tempest. Hi Josh, if you could give Lee one dream project, example, an Emperor Titan with a beard. Okay, so the thing about Lee, and Lee and I talk a bunch, and we both like to brainstorm ideas. I think I usually have a lot of different conversion ideas that he gets excited to do, and then he's got the know-how to make it happen. So, I'll have some kind of a vision in my head of the model that I'm looking for and how I want it to, be executed, and he figures out how to do it. So we work together well on that sort of stuff. If I had to give him some sort of a dream project, I don't know, most of the time it's kind of like flavor of the week. The Titans are really cool. The biggest issue for me is the Titans is that they're not playable in regular games. So I'd want something that I'd be able to use all the time. If I could set Lee down and take him away from all of his MiniWarGaming duties and say, Lee, I want you to convert one of these for me. Just, do me a solid. I'll give you the answer for right now because this isn't well thought out. I'm sure I could have come up with something better. But for 30K, they've released most of the Primarch models. And the only ones that they have rules for the Primarchs and they haven't had models, and it's been forever and I don't understand why, is Alfarius and Rogel Dorn. So if I could sit Lee down and say, Lee, I want you to convert up a super sweet Rogel Dorn model, here's what I got in mind, and him having all the time in the world to work on that would probably be my pick, because I want a Rogel Dorn mini. He likes converting a lot of the big stuff. The other one we talked about actually not that long ago, because Lee scratch builds pretty well whatever you want him to, but he does. He's done a couple Thunderhawks, so I wouldn't mind having the Atos Dios, which is the Thunderhawk that Dorn uses in 30K. That's kind of his unique personal transport. Pretty cool. It's basically a Thunderhawk. It's got a turbo laser up on top of it. It's got a single Titan Void Shield, which is pretty cool. And then it's got, I think, like a 4-up invulnerable save against any missile-based weapons. So really kind of cool model. So I'd like to see what he could do with that. Not just the Thunderhawk, a regular one he's done, but something that's really crazy done up. Befitting, being the transport of a Primarch. All right, next question here. We got Lone Wolf 45634. Josh, how are the Space Wolves going? Pretty good. I don't play Space Wolves that often. I think it's funny because we talk here quite commonly about perception versus reality. I think Space Wolves and Bat Reps I've played like twice. I don't get as many 40k games in as the other guys because I'm usually the fill-in guy. So I'll just kind of pick up whatever army based upon, I'll have an opponent come in and somebody will have a sick day, so I got to figure out what my opponent's playing and kind of try to match them the best I can with something from the studio. So I've grabbed Space Wolves a couple times because they're fairly straightforward army. Doing pretty well. I know we've got some more Space Wolf models laying around. I don't know what the game plan is for getting them done though, because we got to flesh the different squads out. I was bugging Dave a while back that he doesn't have enough special weapons options and other stuff like that. Here we go. When are your next Space Wolves battle reports going to be? Who knows, man? Don't plan that stuff out ahead of time. So I guess the next time I have a guest come in that either has decided that he wants to play against me, or somebody's having a sick day and I am filling in, and the guest says, I want you to play Space Wolves. I guess that'll be the next time that I go ahead and play them, probably. Next, also, how do you prefer to play the Wolfclaw Strike Force or separate formations? Honestly, the way I prefer to play, and I can be a little bit of a hypocrite about this, as I'm getting more and more into list building for the current 40k meta. I like to play combined arms. I like to play old school, 1 HQ, 2 troop, use the force organization chart. The formations are interesting, but I'm still getting used to them. Now it's the exact opposite when I look at the Death Watch stuff that I've been kind of cracking away working on. But yeah, typically for most different armies, I look at it from the combined arms approach, and I like to be able to play the army combined arms, and then, formations if I get bored from there. Next up, King Ninja 97. Hey Josh, did you like being the underdog in the Gorkha Morka campaign? 100% I like being the underdog. It's more fun to play with some sort of a disadvantage. Now, I remember losing guys left and right, and Matthew was saying, just disband, restart, and I'm going, nope, I'm going to stick it out because I wanted to see where it went. There's that really cool narrative feel, and that's where I like a lot of the old specialist games. The Gorkha Morkas, Mordheims, that sort of stuff, because just playing a couple regular games, you get used to this warband, you get attached to it, and there's a lot of cool stories going along. So for Gorkha Morka, it was pretty epic. The tale of this random orc knob who did terrible in the beginning and then just became a monster and started murdering everybody. And that was through just playing the game, and that's what happened. So it forged a really cool narrative. Same thing playing Mordheim. My warband had Stupid Fritz. I had one of my young bloods that I was gearing up with a bunch of movement skills, and he was going to be my guy to go collect loot and do all this cool stuff. Then he took a head wound and gained the stupidity rule. So being the underdog is fun because it builds somewhat of a narrative, and it takes the pressure off you almost. Being the most successful guy playing whatever different game system, I don't want to be the best one. That's where with Mordheim I got a little bit bored of my warband because they were doing better than they should have. They were a super strong warband in the way we were playing Mordheim. So yeah, being the underdog tends to be fun. It takes the pressure off of feeling like you need to win or do really well. Yeah, if so, can you elaborate on how you felt from beginning to end with other warbands, since yours was doing the worst at first and arguably the best at the end? Thanks for coming on board to the MiniWarGaming team. Yeah. It definitely was a little bit different. I like how the warband grew, and the whole setting of Gorkha Morka I was really interested in, because I was the one that every morning we'd come in, I'd be playing the Mad Max theme music, and just annoying everybody. Because yeah, that setting was super cool. So I was really into that game. But I like the more narrative stuff, and I think that comes across, but I'm not sure if it does. As far as, thanks for coming on board to the MiniWarGaming team. I'm super lucky to have been able to be brought on board, so I'm glad you are enjoying the content that I get to put out. It's a super cool job. Next up, we have Moriar. Josh, is there a chance that MiniWarGaming will be doing any Marvel Universe bat reps? It looks to be a fairly balanced game with few models out thus far. Yeah, I was looking at this the other day. One thing that I get teased at a little bit here in the studio, superhero stuff. I'm not a movie watcher. I'm not much of a TV watcher either. I haven't seen any of the Avengers movies or anything in that whole setting. I think I saw the first Iron Man, maybe. I haven't watched anything. It's not that I don't enjoy the movies. I just typically don't, go ahead and seek them out. I'm not sitting around ever bored deciding to watch a movie. And I never grew up being into the superhero stuff. So as far as me just collecting it for the sake of collecting it and trying to push it to Matthew to be part of regular content, probably not going to come from me. If anybody here, Steve's probably the biggest superhero comic book kind of fan. I guess he's right into it. I did pick his brain about that a little bit, and he just, I guess, wasn't interested in the game. It's something he's looked at before. So there's always a chance MiniWarGaming is going to cover stuff, but right now it doesn't feel like there's enough models out there, because I looked into the game a little bit, and I think it's fully fleshed out enough for us to really get into covering it, and I don't know if it's a popular enough game, but who knows. I know there's a couple other channels covering it right now and doing some interesting stuff, but probably not at MiniWarGaming. But again, I'm not the best guy to ask about that because I don't really set any of the content. That's more of a Dave and Matthew sort of thing. Next question here is from Nightwing325. Josh, Matt didn't answer my question, and since you have played Necrons, I'm asking you instead, what is your opinion of the new FAQ? Happy Wargaming. Honestly, I've played Necrons 3 or 4 times. I think it's all been on camera. Reading through the FAQ, it all kind of makes sense. I know Matthew did a video on it. I don't really have any strong opinions on it either way. I go back to the fact that I'm just super happy that Games Workshop is doing the FAQs and, you know, getting more in touch with their community overall. But yeah, there's nothing that stuck out in the Necron FAQ that I'm like this or that. I found they were a little contradictory on stuff, and I think Matthew had mentioned that as well. But they're putting forth, you know, the good college effort. So right now, the state of the game, it feels like everything's up in the air. So hopefully, we're gonna see these FAQs just turn into errata and, you know, go from there. Next up, Josh. This is from Janky Nids. How you doing, and where's the rest of your beard? LOL. Did you donate it? Just kidding. I got kind of bored. It was warm. It kept getting hot. Because the issue with it is every time I went outside, because I had to blow dry it, right? Because it was just going crazy. And every time it rained and I was outside, my beard got wet. Then the humidity would kick in. It would just like poof out. So we got tired of that. So I chopped the sides off and said I'm going to do the goatee. Because I've worn a goatee. If you go back, I was in the first MiniWarGaming War Machine campaign way back in the day. This was years ago. Back before Steve was working here or anything like that. I think I had a goatee then, and if you look into some of Chris's old bat reps on Chris's channel, not the MiniWarGaming channel, you'll see me pop up with a goatee. So I just felt like doing something different. It was time to mix it up. I had a big full long beard for like 2.5 years, so just decided to change it up. All right. Continuing with your question there. Anyways, how do you like playing the narrative campaign with Matt? I love all the videos so far and really want to know where I can find a good camcorder for cheap and how you guys edit your videos. Thanks again. Keep up the work. Excuse me. Okay. As far as camcorder, any of that stuff, I'm not much of a technology guy. I can't make any suggestions. But I'll tell you what. I've put this out to people before. Shoot me an email, josh@miniwargaming.com, and I'll see if I can I'll talk to the guys and I'll see if I can throw some suggestions your way on, maybe a good cheap camcorder. I'll ask Cullen because he's into all the film stuff, and I'll pick Rob and Steve's brain about editing software and the best way that we're doing it there. Glad you're enjoying the video so far. But yeah, so playing the narrative campaign with Matt. So having a lot of fun playing the narrative campaign with Matthew because I am into the fluff. So playing a narrative campaign is really, really fun. Matthew and I were doing a lot of talking back and forth about the storyline. So we're kind of working on the story together as it goes along. So that's cool, but at the same point, now I've got the itch of wanting to kind of do more behind the scenes work on the campaign and story itself, because they're super fun to play in, but they're also super fun to be a part of writing. So it's a load of fun, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how I am going to be or how I want to be involved in the upcoming narrative stuff. So who knows? Maybe I can take some of the fluff knowledge I have and use my powers for either good or evil. What are we doing for time? We're doing pretty good for time. I got a couple more questions in me probably before we jump to the vault. Okay. Evil Party Girl. Hi, Josh. Love your new Archmagos with the Machinator array. Thank you. This is actually, okay, so this is super funny because it's this thing that's been going on in the office back and forth. Because we had this long conversation, and I say we, like everybody in the office, of what an abeyant is. So this is still popping up because we did the Rules You Got Wrong video, and I showed the model and what it looks like, and pointed out the fact that yes, is the official model from Forge World for a guy riding an abeyant. There's another model for a guy riding an abeyant, but this one has an abeyant as well. It lists in the Forge World description under what war gear he has. It says he has an abeyant. And then if you actually look at the instructions for him as well, I dug those up the other day, and yeah, the thing he's riding on is listed as being an abeyant. But still, even in the Rules You Got Wrong for the website and YouTube, people are commenting, and they're entirely convinced that there's no way that's an abeyant. So I don't know, I guess Forge World and I are in cahoots, and we're both lying to you about him having an abeyant or not. Yeah, the Machinator Ray, I was back and forth with Lee. He had some extra Tech Marine arms. I said, let's come up with something short term, because I hadn't intended to play Mechanicum for a while, but we had a guest come in that really wanted to play against them. So yeah, we got those done super, super quick like that day, so I could play against the guest. Yeah, it's kind of cool. So I'm glad that you enjoy that conversion. Let's see here. Continuing with your question. When you play your Death Watch, please ally in some Ordo, Xenos, Inquisitors, and Warbands. Most definitely. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for my little Inquisitorial Warband, because the Inquisition itself is probably the fluff that I'm most interested in, because there's so much substance there. So yeah, I do have to come up with an Inquisitor model, give them some backstory, and come up with this little warband and give them some backstory. So yeah, I'm getting super excited for that. I don't know what model I want to use. I've got a couple Inquisitor models sitting around, I think, but I got to go dig them up, find them, and decide what I want to do with them to kind of convert them, make them mine. But yeah, playing Death Watch or playing whatever other Imperial army, I want to have a little Inquisitor and Warband that I can tie into that, because I think it'd be pretty cool. Which Xeno race are you most looking forward to fighting against? I'd probably say the Orcs. Ever since, so I have not played against an Orc army for a long time. I've never played against Orcs in the current edition, so I want to play some Orcs. Maybe I'll go challenge Quirk. We gotta look at our schedules and see if we can get a game in. I don't have any Death Watch stuff ready to go, but you can crank that stuff out kind of easy, and there's some studio stuff I can use. Yeah, maybe I'll go bug Quirk, see if we can get a game in, because Quirk and I have never played 40k against each other, ever. I think we played every other game system against each other except for 40k, so maybe we'll have to throw down the gauntlet. But yeah, I'd say Orcs are the ones that I'm most excited to fight against. And number 2 would be Tyranids. I wouldn't mind beating up some Tyranids with them. All right, we got time for about one more question here. Sand Tiger. Josh, now that we are getting a Chaos Black Crusade campaign book, will the Mini Wargaming shop be participating, and who will be playing which factions? As far as it stands right now, there is no talks about it, but that doesn't mean we're not going to do it necessarily. I don't really know, and I don't know who would call dibs on what factions. I would probably try to get the Night Lords into there as much as I could and play at least part of the Chaos Marines. Yeah, I don't know what the current plans are, because Matthew and I have not sat down to talk about this particular one, so I don't really know. I can't really speak on his behalf. He's the guy to ask about this kind of stuff, because he's the one that kind of determines all the content. So yeah, I'd love to get into doing some Black Crusade stuff. I just cannot say for sure what it is we're going to cover and in what capacity we're going to cover it. All right, guys, that does eat up all the time that I have for the YouTube regular website portion of the video. I'm going to continue answering questions, jump down into the vault. If you are a vault member, just click on the link below. If you are not a vault member, go ahead, click on the link anyways. It'll take you to a 7-day free trial. You get to check out the rest of the sit and talk, as well as everything else we do in the vault. So pretty well every video we do in pairs, so that's twice as much content that we're putting out. It's like twice as many VAT reps. It also gets you access to Chris and Jadine's painting tips and tricks and some other really kind of fun behind the scenes stuff. So go ahead, click that link, check it out, and until next time, happy wargaming.